The franchise owner's like, Jono, I got good news and I got bad news. The bad news is, as a boot camp instructor, you suck. You come in 75th. You've seen the pie chart. But the good news is you can actually do something about it. Because at the moment, you're blaming everybody else but yourself. Maybe it's not the competition's fault that you suck. Maybe it's your fault you haven't done enough to be better than the competition. What courses have you done? What upskilling have you done?
Hey, what's up, everybody? And welcome to Masters in Fitness Business Podcast, where you get to stand on the shoulders of giants. And today we're going across the pond, way across the pond, into the future, into Australia with Jono Petrohelios, who is coming to us from Sydney by way of Greece. And today we're going to be talking about Facebook ads. But Jono, he's been in the fitness industry for a long time and had a lot of success. He started running boot camps and had tremendous amount of success with those, was able to open up a second franchise with it, was the number one trainer in the franchise with boot camps. He started his own CEC course and then created more CEC courses, which then became Fitness Education Online, the group, and there's 15,000 members in that group, and they have a ton of CEC certification courses in that group that you can take, and it keeps them busy. But today we're going to be talking about Facebook ads. And everybody knows, especially with the whistleblower just coming out about Facebook's algorithm. Well, he's going to be giving you tips and tricks and hacks to monetize that for your fitness business. So, Jono, did I get all of that right? Jono Petrohelios, everyone.
That was amazing, down to the surname, and that's how I know a person's good. If they can pronounce my surname, they're on top of things. So thank you, Jim. I'm a huge fan of your podcast, so super excited to be on here myself.
Yeah, I'm glad we could finally meet up for sure. So let's take the listeners through, and back in old school when I used to just interview successful trainers, we used to have them qualify themselves. So why don't you kind of give your backstory and how you got to this point in your fitness career?
Yes, I'd love to. Now, I'll summarize it because it's good because I get to speak about my favorite topic myself, but I don't want to bore the listeners too much, so I'll try and summarize this as much as I can. In a nutshell, I started off working in a gym. Yeah, it was okay. It wasn't really my thing. Got an opportunity to run a boot camp. And at the start, I sucked. I know you mentioned at the start I was number one.
Mm-hmm.
Before that gym, there was actually 75 different locations at this franchise all over Australia and New Zealand. At the start, take a guess, what do you think I was ranked? 1 being the best, 75 being the worst.
76.
You pretty much, right? I was a far 75, right? And I knew 74, 74 was a bad trainer. So, I wasn't good at what I did, but I loved it. And I was like, you know what? And I still remember this to the day, right? We had to do there was a convention at the end of the year that all 75 trainers had to go to. And I didn't want to go because I'm like, I'm the worst trainer here. And it wasn't even a confidence thing. I didn't think I was the worst trainer there. It was statistically proven I was the worst trainer there. You'd log on and there was a pie graph telling you how bad I was, So didn't want to go, but I bit the bullet because I was like, well, I got 2 options. If I don't go, I'm going to lose this franchise. If I do go, I'm probably going to lose it anyway, but maybe I won't. So I'll go there and I'll be eager and I'll take notes and I'll listen, yada, yada, yada. And it was the best thing ever. Right. And I still remember this. I had to have a meeting with the franchise owner off the bat. And they were like, Jono, what's happening? You're coming 75th. And I was like, it's not my fault. There's a new gym that's opened up down the road and it's 24 hours and it's $5 and there's all these classes, and so there's all this competition. Every second person's a personal trainer, and the weather, I live in Sydney. It's not like the Gold Coast where it's good weather all the time. Who's going to train outdoors in Sydney, and also you guys are meant to be doing my marketing, all the leads you're coming in are crap and there's not that many of them, it's just, in a nutshell, I blamed everybody else but myself. Right? I came up with every excuse in the book, made up a few as well. I think I blamed the government, Donald Trump or whatever it is. He wasn't even in power then, but I think I blamed him. The franchise owner's like, Jono, I got good news and I got bad news. The bad news is, as a boot camp instructor, you suck. You come in 75th. You've seen the pie chart. But the good news is you can actually do something about it. Because at the moment, you're blaming everybody else but yourself. Maybe it's not the competition's fault that you suck. Maybe it's your fault you haven't done enough to be better than the competition. What courses have you done? What upskilling have you done? And I'm like, well, I do my 20 CCs every 2 years. And he's like, well, that's the bare minimum, Jono. That's what trainers have to do in Australia anyway, just to keep their registration. Of course, if you're doing the bare minimum, you're going to be down the bottom. You say, our marketing sucks, right? We're getting bad leads. Is it bad leads or do you suck at sales? What sales training have you done? What sales books have you read? What business coaches have you hired? And I was like, oof. And he's like, and also, if our marketing sucks so much, why don't you just go out and do some of your own? What's stopping you from doing that? And I'm like, ooh, good point. And then he's like, the weather. He's like, Jono, you can go out and hire like a school hall or a church hall for $20. You can solve your biggest problem for $20, but you're too busy blaming everybody else but yourself because of the weather. And I was like, oh, it's a good point. And he's like, what I want you to do is this year, your position's safe, but this year coming up, what I want you to do is just take 100% responsibility for your actions. All right. Don't blame anybody else but yourself. If something comes up, think, hey, don't blame anyone else. Think it's your fault. And what can you do about it? Don't sit there and be poor me and be depressed, but be, hey, I'm in control. This is my fault. What can I do to do better? So that's what I did. For that next year, I just dedicated myself to upskilling. I did one course and the next course, and I was reading sales books, and then hired a business coach, and then attending other trainers' classes to learn, different techniques and that sort of thing there. Long story short, 12 months later, now what do you think I was ranked, Jim?
Number one.
All right. Retention. And I can't remember the exact numbers. I think I went from 20 people in my boot camp to 100 in a year. All right. The retention rate went from about 50%. So we'd run 12-week challenges, and like half the people at the start, half the people would come and then not come back. It's how bad I was, But by the end of it, it was up to 104%. Every single person, all 100 people that were in my boot camp came back for the next one, plus 4 or 5 people that previously canceled and were like, oh, no, this is good now. Let me come back and do it. Right. So those numbers there. From there, opened up a second location, used the same sort of system there. From there, other trainers started to ask me, Jono, how are you doing all this? What sales are you doing? What marketing are you doing? What workouts are you doing? And at the same time, I was always upskilling myself and doing courses. And I was like, man, I'm still always getting something from these courses, but I feel there's always something missing. I feel I can put together the perfect course. So those two things sort of married up. And I was like, okay, I feel I can put a course better than anything that's out there. And I also feel that there's demand. There's people asking me, hey, how do you do it? If I can put this system down in a course and then just give it to people, it's win-win. So good for the trainer. It's good for me. There's an income there. So then started that, and that became quite successful. Then it got to a point where the online course business became more successful than the actual boot camp. It was like, oh, hold on. I'm spending not a lot of time. I'm spending a few hours on boot camp, probably spending equal time on online, but I'm making double as much income on this online side of things. Maybe if I stop running the boot camp and put all my focus on the online world, it's going to be even better for me. So stopped running that boot camp, went all out on the online courses. Fast forward now 2021, we've got something like 40 different CEC courses. We generate about $1 million a year in revenue from selling these online courses, and we've built our following. We've got, I think it's definitely the largest Facebook group in Australia for fitness professionals with 15,000, potentially the world. There may be some other Facebook groups that I don't know about with fitness professionals, but the ones I'm in anyway, it's the largest and the most engaged Facebook group in the world for fitness professionals.
Nice.
That's it in a nutshell. Did I summarize that all right?
That was beautiful.
That was I like 7 years in about 7 minutes. So
yeah, exactly. That linear journey that I'm sure had about 1 million tangents in wrong turns. But how did you grow the Facebook group?
Yes.
What did you use to grow the Facebook group?
Yes, good question. So a couple different things, right? And I'll make this as easy as possible. Look, I'll share both ways on here. I'll share how I grew it, but also share a couple of things that I do differently as well, right?
Okay.
In a nutshell, I was always a fan of Facebook groups because we had to have them when I was running boot camp. So every single location had to have a Facebook group, which was mainly for the actual clients, though. It wasn't really a lead generation thing back then. It was more actual clients. And at the start, I thought it was a waste of time. I was a 20-something-year-old guy in the early 2010s. We didn't Facebook groups. And when I had that meeting with the franchise owner, they were like, Jono, one of the things you got to focus on to be a better trainer is to make your Facebook group better. And I'm like, what? I'm like, out of all the problems I've got as a trainer, having a Facebook group, there's got to be down at, 101 or something. And they were like, no, Jono, trust me, the better your Facebook group is, the better your retention will be as a trainer. And I'm like, no, I don't buy it. And they're like, well, Jono, you're coming 75th out of 75, and we own all 75 boot camps. Maybe there's something we know that you don't know. And I was like, yeah, okay, you got me. I'll put in some effort, And it was true, because what I realized, especially in those days, there was still the culture wasn't as long online as it is now. But still, like if you were running a boot camp in those days, your clients would see each other, 3 times a week, right? And they'd see you 3 times a week. It sort of wasn't enough it was hard to get really close in that time. But I realized if I could have a Facebook group as well, and people could engage in Facebook, it would just make everyone so much closer. Because it's kind of like, all right, now it's not just someone I see 3 times a week. I'm also friends with them on Facebook. I see their personal stuff. There's more things to talk about in person, yada, 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 right? So I learned that. So I put a lot of effort into the Facebook group in terms of learning how to get it engaged in a nutshell. Because it's not quite as simple as, I'll make a post and everyone will see it. The Facebook doesn't work like that, right? There's certain things that you post that more people will see. There's certain things they punish you for that they won't see. So I learned those intricacies, and then I brought them to the online, to a strictly online course thing. Now, the first thing that I did that I recommend everyone do as well is I didn't start that group until I had about 100 people. Right. Because I'd been in the industry a while. I'd worked at a few different gyms. There was 75 different trainers at this franchise I was in as well. When I started a group, I wanted to make sure that it wasn't dead from the start. I wanted to make sure, all right, I'm not going to start this group with no one in there and I get one student and there's one student in there. That doesn't work, But I was like, all right, I know I've got 100, 150 people I know from the industry. Let me just start up a Facebook group and invite all of them in there. Right. So that was the first thing there. The next thing, the simplified version, I guess, actually, is every single trick in the book, right? Whatever I did, I would focus on that Facebook group. So if I went to any sort of conference, convention, and I met people, it wasn't just, hey, hello. It was, hey, let's connect on social media. Oh, hey, by the way, I got this Facebook group. Join this Facebook group in there. Any single sort of social media platform I used, the call to action was always join the Facebook group. Right. So I had a YouTube channel. It was never big, but I had a YouTube channel, and I have a YouTube channel, I should say. And like at every video, it's just, click and join the Facebook group. Right. You follow me on Instagram. Oh, you're a trainer? Great. Here's the Facebook group. All roads would just lead to the Facebook group. And then I would just put all of my energy into that Facebook group and making it interactive. Because what I realized with the Facebook algorithm, there's sort of 2 things that will, in the ideal world, you want the Facebook algorithm to push it for you, right?
Right.
You ideally want to start up a Facebook group, and Facebook just shows it to your ideal people. Hey, Jim, there's, 100 of your friends in this group, join it, right? So I realized the 2 things that work there is a constant flow of new people coming in, and then also engagement in the group, right? So if people are listening to this and want to do something similar, they're the 2 immediate tips I'd get is wait till you've got about 100 people to get into that group. So that way you start the group and it's got some engagement in the back. Put all your focus on making that group engaging, and then have some sort of system that's consistently getting new people in. Because if it's just a matter of, let's go back to my group, Fitness Education Online. If it was just a matter of, okay, great, Jono's got 100 people he can get to join this group. Great, he's put them in there and he's got some engagement. Well, once I've sold through all those 100, I'm gone, right? I also need a system to consistently get new people in there. Right. And there's so many different systems out there. I'm a huge fan of Facebook ads, which is good because it'll segue into what we're going to speak about next. And that was probably let me think of how to simplify this. Yeah. Okay. So simplified version, I used every trick in the book to grow the Facebook group, right? I was like, all right, let me learn Facebook ads. Let me use that. Let me learn Instagram. Let me use that. Let me learn YouTube. Let me do that. Let me blog. I used every single trick in the book, but one at a time. It was like, okay, what's the first thing I'm going to use for lead generation? Great. Now I've got this under control. Let me start the next one. And that's the message I'd love to give to the listeners. Don't be like, oh, Jono said use everything, so I'm going to start a blog and a YouTube channel on Instagram. And no. Just pick one. Okay. We're going to speak about Facebook ads today. So if you want to use Facebook ads, use the system I'm going to talk about. But even if you don't want to use Facebook ads, whatever it is, maybe you're a LinkedIn person, and your strategy is, all right, I'm going to lead generate on LinkedIn, and that's going to be the pipeline to my Facebook group. Or I'm going to use Instagram, I'm going to grow my Instagram, and that's going to be the pipeline to my Facebook group or YouTube, whatever it is. The goal, what you want when growing your Facebook group is some strategy to get new people in there. And then what's going to happen once you get that pipeline of new people in there and you get engagement into the group, Facebook is going to organically show it to other people. And then you can ease up on the other stuff you're doing.
Gotcha. And that
I'll
sounds.
just add one more thing as well.
Sorry.
It's just consistency, right? Mm-hmm. So the major reason why I've grown that group to 15,000 people is I found a system that worked, and I've just done that every single week for 7 years.
Right. Yeah. That slow trickle of the stream that, wears away the stone. Right.
Exactly.
And I like that you have simple, clear, and distinct steps that you do. And I also like the message of don't multitask, because for me, at least for me personally, multitask means I'm going to do a lot of things pretty crappy instead of one thing really well. So I like that, getting one thing down and learning the nuances of that and kind of getting a feel for that before where you can kind of turn it up or turn it down depending on what you want out of it. And then you can move on to the next thing and master that and then keep going down the line. So with that in mind, let's jump into the Facebook ads. So where do you start? How do you do it? I'll say, I'm just a studio owner, and the only thing I've done is boosted some ads. And that's a good question to start with. Does boosting help?
Gotcha. Okay, cool. So let's start big and then we'll go small, right?
All right.
So my whole goal with Facebook ads is not to spend money. I want to make money, right?
Okay.
And I think that's also what turns a lot of people off Facebook ads. I always ask the question in my group, what do you prefer, paid marketing or free marketing? And most people are like, oh, free marketing for sure, because it's free. And I'm kind of like, well, I mean, depends how you look at it, right? Every single dollar I spend on Facebook ads, I want to make more than that back. All right. So I'm not a huge fan of boosting because it doesn't really get me that ROI. It's kind of like if I'm going to spend, I also run Facebook ads for other trainers, right? And I'll go through their ads manager, and there might be, $500 worth of boosted posts over the previous month. And I'm like, okay, you spent 500 there, how much clients do you get from it? They're like, I do it more just to get seen, get in front of more people, that sort of thing. And I'm like, yeah, it's all right, but you can do that and get money back as well. Why not spend 500 instead of spending $500 just to get seen in that? Spend $500 to make $5,000, and then you also get seen and all that other stuff as well, right? So that's goal number one, is make your money back on it. A simple system I use is use how much one client costs or one client is worth to you as a starting point. So I might even ask you, Jim, how much is a membership at your studio?
Average is $250 a month.
Awesome. Cool. And how much, and we can do a few different things with that, but on average, how many months would you say a person stays for? Obviously some 5 years, but if you had to give us a rough figure.
Our retention's pretty high because we're such a small studio and we do personal training, not large groups. So the life cycle of our client is probably 2 to 3 years.
Oh, shit. Okay, cool. So I'm going to use a better example then, because most people probably don't have as good retention as you. Let's just say 3 months as an example. Let's say, right, someone comes in, there's a good chance they're going to stay for at least 3 months, right? And also I'm guessing that is that a little bit higher than average, $250 per month over there?
It is, because we are personal training, not large group.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. So let's just say the average, let's just speak averages now, right? Because I could do it with you, but it would just throw a lot of people off, right? Let's just say I like the $500. let's just say, an average studio charges, I don't know, 150 a month. That'd be about right.
Yep.
Give or take. Cool. So
149. Yeah.
yeah, there we go. Say 149, 150 a month. Average person stays for 3 months. They're worth, give or take, about $500 or 450 or whatever it is, right? But let's run with 500. I'd say put that on the Facebook ad. Your budget is $500. That way, if all you do is get one client from it, you've made your money back. All right. But let's go a little bit deeper still. The type of ad that I recommend is a lead generation ad. And we'll speak into it a bit later about how to get into that. But let's just look at it logically here as well. Usually as personal trainers, we're offering a service. Really, what we want is leads, and then we need to contact that lead, whether we call them and sign them up over the phone, whether we email them for a free trial, whatever your sales system is, what we want is leads. We're not e-commerce. It's not like you jump on Amazon and buy a book or a water bottle or something. That's not what we do as personal training or a gym, right? So what we want is leads, right? Now, let's say we put $500 on Facebook ads. I'll share my specific system in a sec, but it generates leads for about $5. So what that means is if we put $500 on Facebook ads, we're going to get about 100 leads, right? Now, the one down point with Facebook ads is those leads may not be super high quality, ready to go right now. Half of them are scrolling through their phone. They're watching Home and Away, or what's a popular show there in they're watching Squid Games or something. They're scrolling through Netflix. They're watching Squid Games. Oh yeah, I need to lose some weight. Let me enter my details. And they forget about it the next day, right? But roughly speaking, it's about a 10 to 20% conversion rate, depending on many factors, right? Depends on how good your sales skills are, what your prices are, the competition, the area. There's so many different factors.
Offer.
Right? Sorry, that's the biggest one, the offer, right? It's a different story if it's, if it's, hey, here's my thing, it's $50 a week and you get, 12 weeks of training and you get a home program and a gym program and, some nutrition guidelines and a, resistance band and, some recipe ebooks and a list of restaurants to eat at versus, hey, it's $50 a week and you get a personal training session. Right. Like there's many different things, right? But let's just speak generally here. It'll be about 10%. Which means that if you put $500 in, you'll get 100 leads and you should get 10 new clients from it. All right. Now we've done the math. We know a client is worth about $500. You may have to wait 3 months to get it, but you're going to get that $500. We do the math on that. You've spent $500 in to make $5,000. To me, that's a no-brainer, right? And it gets better still, but we'll even run with that. Like if there was a system where you put $500 in and 3 months later you make 5,000, why would you not do it? Right. And really it's going to be more because most people will probably stay for more than 3 months. And on top of that as well, they'll probably refer friends too. So then it compounds from there. But the better point of that is actually those 90 people that didn't sign up. Because just because they didn't sign up the first time you called them doesn't mean they're never going to sign up. Just means, hardly that's the percentage. Like 90% of people will enter in their details and not sign up straight away, right? But you keep in contact with them. They're now on your email list, they now follow you on social media, maybe next month you do a bring a friend week, right? Or an open week. Hey, it's open week. Those 100 people or those 90 people that didn't sign up come into open week, maybe a couple of them sign up there. And then maybe, just a few weeks, the next month, you got some sort of special, you send an email out, a few people sign up there. All right. There's many different options from there. So it's great because not only do you 10 times your money on the front end, even that would be good enough. Even if it was just like, right, I'm going to do this, every 3 months or whatever it is, I'll run one of these ads here and just, make $4,000 or $5,000. Great. But you're building your list in the back end. And that's how I got my Facebook group to so big. Because it was like, all right, let me run this ad. Let me put $500 on. Let me get 100 leads. Okay. 10 of them are going to sign up on the front end. The 90 of them that don't, hey, all good. Look, I got this Facebook group. Join this Facebook group. All right. Next week, same thing. It compounds from there. Okay. So that's the does that make sense as an overview?
Perfect. Yep. Perfect sense.
Awesome. Okay. So let's dive into a little bit deeper on the technicalities. So when you start up a Facebook ad, you got many different options. Are you going to boost it? Are you going to do it for engagement? Are you going to get video views? Are you doing conversions, traffic? There's all these different options here. I recommend pick the lead generation option for a few different things. Whichever option you think you choose, Facebook will more likely show it to those people. And what we want is leads, right? We don't really care about engagement. It's nice if we get it, but what would you like, Jim? 100 likes or 100 leads?
Leads.
What would you like? 100 video views or 100 leads?
Leads,
like
yeah.
the others are nice. They're not saying they're bad, but like leads is what we want, right? So if we choose the lead option, Facebook is going to show it to people that are more likely to, enter their details in that. But the other great thing about lead generation is when you choose that, you use Facebook's lead generation system. So let's say I picked traffic or conversions, I would have to send those people to my website, right? Don't want to do that for a few different reasons. Number one, Facebook's algorithms all over the place. They've changed with their Apple system. It's hard to track where people are. I don't want to keep them off Facebook because it's too hard to track. I want to keep them on Facebook, so Facebook's got more control. As bad as that sounds for like the consumer, from a marketer, I want Facebook to have as much control as possible. So that's one reason why I choose that. And that means that I'm not at mercy for the Apple changes and the Google changes and whatever changes happen externally, because I'm using everything via Facebook. Nothing outside matters. So where a lot of people's ads got screwed with the iOS changes, with me, it didn't make a difference because I wasn't sending them off Facebook anyway. The other advantage on that is there's a little bit of trust involved as well. So if someone clicks on my ad, they stay in Facebook. A little box will pop up in Facebook. Hey, enter your name, number, and email. Here are the details, yada, yada, yada. People have somewhat trust for that. If they're on Facebook, they got somewhat trust of, I'll put my details in here. If I send them out of Facebook, I don't know who I am. Oh, who's this person? I've never heard about them. What are they going to do with my email? At least they know. Well, I know Facebook's going to keep my email and do stuff with it. This
Right.
Jim guy, is he going to do? What's he going to do it? Where's he going to sell it? So there's a bit more trust there as well. So that's step number one.
Yeah. And the other thing too with that is that doesn't the algorithm on Facebook damper down ads that have links that send people outside of Facebook?
Exactly. Facebook is like a business, right? They want to keep people on Facebook because that's how they make their money. It's kind of like your studio, Jim. If someone went into your studio and was like, oh, there's this other great studio down the road, you'd be like, get the hell out of my studio. What are you doing promoting someone? That's sort of how Facebook looks at it. If you want to, the best tip I can give, if you want to ruin your Facebook algorithm, send them to a YouTube link. Put a YouTube link on your post and then you're gone for the next, they won't tell you or do anything, but they just won't show your posts for anyone. So yeah, 100% Facebook want to show. And I've tested that where I've had, Facebook lead ad versus sending traffic, and the Facebook lead ad wins every time. Right. Yeah. So you'll get more leads if you do it, and it's easier. You don't need to, because I'm going to bit off topic here, but when you want to get leads, it's easier just to send them to one page that says enter your details and we'll give you over the details. If you send them to the website, there's all different options. They get lost. You might not capture the lead, right? So you sort of got two options: use Facebook lead ads and it's already done for you, or go and set up a whole separate landing page or website with just that one page. I can't be bothered doing that. I'm going to use Facebook, right? So now we've got sort of the overview, right? We've got, all right, I know if I'm making about $500 per client, that's what I'm going to put in Facebook ads, because all I need is one to break even. I know I'm going to generate a whole heap of leads, which are going to sign up later. And I know that as I'm also going to get some traction and people are going to see me, this and that, right? Go to Facebook. We're going to choose the lead generation ad. Now, I might even work backwards from here, and we'll speak about the actual ad that works. Okay. If we look at an ad, there's basically three components. There's the photo, the headline, and the copy or the description. All right. Now, out of those, I might ask you the question, Jim. Out of those, which in your opinion, would you say is the most important?
Photo.
Yeah. All right. So photo, 100%. It's so important that if your photo sucks, nothing else can help you. Doesn't matter how good your copy was, how good your headline was, how good your targeting was. If your photo sucks, it doesn't matter, right? Now, the photo that works the best in terms of Facebook ads, there's a very specific photo and it works all the time, every time, different variations of it, but it's ideally a group of your clients after the workout, smiling and having fun. Okay. And there's a few key things and a few key things that will throw you off as well. But now let's just, and I'm sure you've seen images. Everyone's got images like that, right? Jim,
Mm-hmm.
you know the one. It's after a session, you're
Mm-hmm.
smiling, there's a bit of sweat, everyone looks happy and healthy. The
Mm-hmm.
reason why that works is you don't really want your ad to look like an ad. Because if it looks like an ad, people are just scrolling straight through, right? You want someone scrolling through your news feed being like, oh, man, what's this? These people look just like me, just a little bit happier and healthier. What are these people doing that are making them happier and healthier than me? Oh, they're at Jim Studio. I better sign up for Jim Studio. I better, enter my details in here. That's what we want. So we want them to scrolling through, just looks like a photo of their friends, but look a little bit happy. They're not a lot happier and healthier, because that will turn them off as well. That's another big mistake that people make. If you got a photo of you on there looking ripped or jacked or in your bikini or whatever it is, that's great if that's your target market. If your target market are other ripped, jacked bikini models, but if you're targeting the everyday person, that's intimidating. Oh man, everyone there looks like Jim. I'm not going to fit in there. Scroll through,
Mm-hmm.
So you can't have, and same with your clients. If you just pick your 5 fittest clients for the photo, it's not going to work. You got to pick a bit of everything works. If you can get a few bigger people, a few fitter people, depending on your target. If you target all women, okay, great. If it's a mixture, okay, bit of a mixture, a few different looks as well. If it's over here in Australia, maybe you get an Asian person in there as well, a white person, a bit of a mixture there. So anyone can sort of scroll through and be like, okay, yeah, cool. This, I can see myself fitting in there. Right. A few of the common mistakes that come in is if everyone looks super fit, not going to work. Too professional also doesn't work. Right. If it looks too professional, it looks like an ad, people are just going to scroll past it. I'm not saying have a bad photo. It can't be a bad photo that's off angle and a finger blur or whatever it is, right? But just a nice photo, not a professional one, a nice photo. There's a difference, right? The other turn off is if people are doing exercises, right? That's another big killer, because usually as trainers, we think it looks cool. Yeah, battle ropes and kettlebells and burpees and push-ups. How cool does this look, But they're not the people we're usually targeting. Usually we're targeting people that aren't currently exercising, right? And the exercise looks like hard work, right? So they're going to look at that and be like, oh man, it looks like hard work. I don't want hard work. We don't want to show them, it's a little bit sneaky, but we don't want to show them the hard work. We want to show them the end result, right? So instead of showing them people slamming battle ropes and medicine balls and kettlebells or whatever, we just want to show them a group of people in workout gear that looks obvious they've done a workout, but we don't show them what they've actually done. We don't want to show them that hard work. We just want to show them, hey, if you do this thing, you're going to be happier and healthier like these people here. Okay. Subtle difference, but huge, right? You can use all those other things I said. You can have people that don't look super fit. It cannot look professional. But if they're doing exercise, it's not going to work, right? Yeah. After the exercise, the biggest key, however, with this photo is the smile. Okay. Every single person in there needs to be smiling. All it takes is 1 or 2 people not to be smiling, and it will ruin the whole photo. Right? Because that's the key. There's a few things with the smile, like that's what people connect with. If you're scrolling through your Facebook, it looks like someone's smiling. It looks like a welcoming place. Looks like they're nice people. You'll fit in there, even if they're not. The smile can fool people there. So that's the biggest key there as well with the thing, the smile. And just a few practical tips, because I know, and there's and I'll just give a message for trainers. Make sure you get heaps of these photos here. Even if it's just over like a 2-week period, you're like, all right, guys, look, we haven't got a lot of photos. I need some photos, let's take a photo after this one here, and then the next day, same thing. Next day, same thing. After you got 10, 20 of them, okay, you can relax a little bit.
Just line them up like stock photos.
Yeah, exactly. And then and also because there's a few different things, because you might take one photo and for whatever reason, Jim was looking away and now he looks angry in that photo and the whole photo's gone, But if you take like 10 of them, you're going to get a couple good ones in there. And also it's just, you can rotate through them then, 1 month you use this, 1 month you use that. And if you can slightly, because there's slight different things as well, down to the colors. I don't want to get too much into it, but just if you can have a variety, it's good, because there might be a certain section of your studio gym that just looks better for photos. whether it's against the wall, whether this wall's a certain color, whether it's out the front, whether it's in front of your logo, try and get the few different things there. It's also good to test the selfie style versus the football team style. So you as the trainer can just be like, all right, guys, let me get my phone, selfie, everyone, let's go. Or you can be like, all right, guys, I want to take a photo of you. Everyone line up against the wall and I'll take that photo there. Because sometimes the selfies work better. Sometimes the team sort of photos work better. You know what I'm describing there, right, Jim?
Yep.
Those two. Yeah, cool. What else with the photo? Yeah, and also like if there is someone that, is looking super angry or not photogenic or whatever, just get them to take the photo on the next one. You take the photo, have a look at it, all right, guys, now I want to be in it. Jim, can you take it this time? And it's always a guy as well that's unphotogenic, The women are usually better at it. So, and that's another tip as well. All right, let's get one just with the women, and that one will be good. All right, let's get one just with the guys, we know that one will be crap. But at least we don't look sexist or whatever it is,
Right.
So yeah, they're my tips with the photo. Do you want me to go any deeper on the photo, Jim, or does that paint?
No, I think that's pretty good.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay, cool. The next most important thing is not the description. It's actually the headline, right? Because most people will look at the photo and then they'll look at the headline. Now you can test a few different things with the headline, but the most important thing there, and actually I should prephrase, I only use this system for local fitness businesses. Okay. So this won't work for online. That's a completely different game and that'd be a completely different podcast. So this is local fitness businesses, right? The headline needs to include the first thing is your suburb. Do you use suburbs? You know what a suburb is?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. Include your suburb there, right? Because most of the marketing on Facebook and online isn't locally targeted. Like if I shared my screen now, most of the things you're going to see are just people from all over the world trying to sell me something, right? And I'll even say now, I live in a suburb in Sydney, Brighton, Los Angeles. I have never, ever seen an ad that says Brighton, Los Angeles in there. If I saw it, I would stop straight away, no matter what it is. Oh, who's this local person? Let me see what they're doing. Let me click on it, So that's what you want there. You want this. Let's go through the formula again. They're scrolling through their newsfeed, right? They stop and say, oh, who are these people? They look just like me, just happier and healthier. Oh, shit, they're in the exact same suburb that I am, or they're in the next suburb that I am. I've got to click this thing here. Those two things alone is pretty much all you need. We'll go into a bit deeper on the copy and the headline in a sec. But literally, if you just master those two things, the perfect photo and have the name of your suburb in the headline, you're going to get a heap of leads. Okay. Now, let's go a bit deeper on the headline. You can't just have your suburb. It's not just Brighton, Los Angeles. You've got to have something, right? So there's a few different variations of that you can have, Attention. What's the name of your suburb, Jim?
University City.
Awesome. Cool. It could be University City Locals, 12-week challenge starting next week, attention university women, challenge starting next week, whatever, something like that, where you're calling out the suburb, ideally a challenge as well. We'll get to that part in a sec with the description. But yeah, the most important thing there is naming your suburb in that headline there. Okay. Does that make sense there, the headline?
Perfect.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So let's get to the description now. And this also ties in with the offer as well. What's working really well in today's market is a challenge, even just that word challenge. Now, I like a 12-week challenge. That's what's popular over here in Australia. A 3-month challenge can work over in the US, but even whatever it is, right? And also a challenge is just committing someone to a certain amount of time. Now, at your studio, Jim, is there a minimum term that someone signs up for?
3 months.
Yep, there we go. So Jim would just say, hey, 3-month challenge, right? Or over here in Australia, we use weeks. I think it's months over there in the US.
Yeah.
Either way, whether you say it's a 12-week challenge, 3-month challenge, right? That's our offer there. That works well. And we've tested it even just down to the word. Because some people are like, oh, I don't like challenge. It makes it sound like it's weight loss or whatever it is. So we've tried different words, 12-week kickstart, 12-week program, 12-week reset. None of them worked like challenge, right? Yeah, I don't know the reasoning behind it, but you can have everything the same. The photo, the suburb, the copy, the offer. But if you use the word reset instead of challenge or program instead of challenge, you won't get as many leads. I don't know
Interesting.
why, but it is what it is. And this is, thousands of dollars tested here. So we use the word challenge, right? But let's go back to the description. So we want the heading up the top again, attention, university, city, locals, right? It's in the headline down the bottom, but it's also the top line of our description. Then we mention the challenge, right? Attention, university, locals, 12-week challenge or 3-month challenge, right? Then we have the start date. Okay. Starts 1st of November. Very important for a few different reasons. It's getting the urgency it's getting the urgency in there, right? It's kind of like if it just said 12-week challenge, join up anytime. We all know you give someone the opportunity to join anytime, you're giving them permission to never freaking join in their life, right?
Right.
We want to add that thing in there. So let's go through that process again. Scrolling through the news feed. Oh, who are these people? They look just like me, just happier and healthier. Oh shit, they're in University City. That's where I am. Oh, there's a 12-week challenge. Shit, it kicks off next week. Let me quickly enter everything we're doing is just, getting this person to click on that thing right now. Whether they sign up next week or not is a different story, right? But at least it's going to get people to opt in and be like, hey, I saw it, look, I'm not ready to go now, but you're down the road, I saw you had a challenge. I wanted to enter my details in. So, next year I can sign up or whatever it is, right? Either way, we just want to collect that email down there. Right. So where are we? Yes, we've got the 12-week challenge. This location, 12-week challenge kicks off this date here. If you target, like a lot of people just train women, if you target women, mention that in there, right? Women only, female only, whatever it may be. And then just finish with a call to action. Click below to learn more. That's literally it. Okay. That's all you need. Let's just do a summary of all that there again. Most important thing is the photo. Okay. Group of people smiling, having fun after a workout. Not too professional, not too good looking, not too fit, no exercises, everyone smiling. That's your base. Get like 10 of those photos there. All right. Next thing is the headline. Make sure you have the name of your suburb in there. University City, challenge starting next week, or university locals, or attention university women, or whatever it may be. Right. We then get to the copy. All right. Call them out again. Attention university locals, 12-week challenge, kicking off, November 1st. And you can always change that, right? You can run that for 2 weeks and then turn it off and then, change the date and run it again. It's just something there to get people to enter their details in there. If you're targeting a specific gender or sex, mention it and then click below to learn more. That's the perfect ad there. I'll try and race into the targeting in a sec, but does that make sense in terms of the actual ad, Jim?
Absolutely. Yeah, awesome. Perfect sense.
Cool. So now we've got sort of two ends of it, right? We know we're going to set up the lead gen ad. We know our budget. We know all that sort of thing there. We know the actual ad. Now, who do we actually show it to? Okay, so the actual targeting there. Now, if you run a local business, you don't want to limit it by interests because you just make your audience too small. If you're just like, people that like gym or bodybuilding or Jillian Michaels or whatever it is, like, that's fine if you're running an online side of things. You need it if you're running that. There is just for online. Let's use myself as an example. I run an online business where I only target personal trainers, right? So I use interests because I can go anywhere in the world and just target personal trainer. And if you're in a local business, you just want everyone in your local area to know about, and especially something like fitness, because really everyone's going to sign up at a gym or a studio somewhere, right? So you want everyone to know about it. If you just target a specific gender, then obviously you put that in. So if you're just targeting women, obviously do that. In saying that, we do find that women are more likely to opt in and purchase as well. So even if you train both men and women, when you're doing your Facebook ads, if you just show it to women, you don't need to say on the thing, I'm just showing it to women or whatever, right? But if you just on the button, you're targeting men or women, if you hit the women button, you're going to get cheaper leads and more of them and more clients. And that's not saying you just have to target women. They're going to bring, you get your men from word of mouth. They'll bring their partner or their friends or whatever it is.
Or from the women.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, you don't have to, but I recommend just targeting women. You're going to get your clients from there, and then you'll get men that they'll just come from referrals and whatever it is, right? That side of things there. In terms of age, here's where it gets a little bit tricky. a lot of the sort of expert fitness business coaches will tell you, hey, you know, you're going to have a niche and only train people from here to here. And that's true to an extent. But on the Facebook world, we want to be a little bit more lenient for a couple of reasons. A, people lie on their age on Facebook, right?
No,
Yeah.
that doesn't happen.
So, you know, so you got to be wary of that. So the way we look at this, targeting on Facebook, it's not your ideal. It's the youngest person you would possibly train and the oldest. So let me ask you that question, Jim. What's the youngest person you would like to have in your gym?
Yeah, I usually go 28 to 61.
Perfect. That would be perfect there. You know,
Mhm.
maybe a bit more, maybe 25 to 65 or whatever, you know,
Mhm.
something like that. Because it's kind of
Yeah.
like, you know, if they're 70 plus, probably not going to fit in at gym, you know. If
Mhm.
they're 18, they're probably not gonna fit in there, you know.
Mhm.
So some sort of thing like that, the age. In terms of distance, it also gets a little bit tricky because it depends where you are, right?
Mhm.
If you're in a big city, whereabouts are you again, Jim?
St. Louis, Missouri.
Okay, Missouri. So yeah, big city, right?
Yeah, it's a little over 1 million people.
Yeah. Cool. So anything like that sort of size, it's usually about 5 to 6 kilometers. I'm not sure what that is in do you know miles to kilometers, Jim?
Miles is let's see, 2.2 kilometers equals 1 mile.
So about half. So about 3 miles is about,
Yep.
yeah,
Hmm.
okay, cool. So something like that, right? I'll
Yep.
just use kilometers, but let everyone just know it's roughly about half.
Hmm.
Usually about 5 or 6 kilometers is what the targeting. That's a good general sort of thing. The busier you are, obviously, the smaller you make that. So let's say, for example, I live in Sydney, you know, big city, you know, 4 million people. If you're in the middle of Sydney, it's 3 kilometers max, right? Probably similar to New York City if you're in America, right? If
Right.
you're in the middle of New York City, no one's traveling no one's traveling 3 miles from, you know. But if you're in the middle of nowhere, if you're in country New South Wales, you know, or if you're in country, you know, Missouri,
Yeah.
right, that's
Yeah.
nothing.
Midmo. Yeah.
You know, like I know, yeah, I know. And actually, I should give a bit of a range. Usually about 5 to 10 kilometers. So if you're in a big city, it's closer to 5. If you're in the country, you know, it's out there in 10, even longer, even 20 kilometers, depending where you are, because half of it's just traffic. Like
Yeah.
let's say in Sydney, man, it's gonna take me half an hour to travel, you know, 6 kilometers, right?
Right.
If I'm in the middle of nowhere, man, I can do that in a couple of minutes, you know, 100,
Yeah.
100 kilometers an hour on the highway and go, you know?
Yeah.
So there's a few different things there. Bit of an and it gets tricky again. But if you're if you're in a big city, no more than about 100,000 people, you can see how much people your ad is reaching, right? Let's say if I'm running an ad Brighton Los Angeles, I'll have a play around with it until I see, you know, about 100,000 people, right? But in saying that, if you're in the middle of nowhere, if you're in Tamworth, New South Wales, you know, you're never getting to 100,000 people, right? So these are just sort of guidelines.
Hmm.
Yeah, so city people, you know, about 5 kilometers, about 100,000 people. Country people, you know, closer to 10 kilometer radius, and it's just whatever it's going to be. And then also, like, you can fiddle around with that a little bit too. Because I live in the middle of Sydney, I can say, all right, you know, 3 kilometers, and I'm only going to target women between 20 and 40, right? But let's say I live in the middle of nowhere. Okay, it's going to have to be 10 kilometers. I'm going to have to target men and women, and I'm going to have to go 18 to 75. All right. So that's where you can play around with your variables depending where you are. So I can't give a specific science there. That's part of the science if I'm running an ad for someone. Sort of like, all right, let me play with this, let me play with this, let me play with this, let me play with this. But I think there's some general guidelines. And also just the way to look at it, if you don't want to use science or formulas, just if you are eyeballing it, just think of it like this. When you're running a Facebook ad, it's not necessarily going to be, it's got to be the no-brainer zone. So let's use your studio, Jim. If you were running a Facebook ad, I'd probably say, you know, 5 kilometers or something like that. But
Hmm.
I'm guessing you have clients that probably travel more, right? You probably got
Yeah.
you know, but the reason is, you know, maybe they knew you beforehand, or maybe they used to live in the area,
Right.
or maybe a friend's referred them, because
Hmm.
people will travel if it's a good gym,
Right.
right? People will
Hmm.
travel more if they're like, no, I know Jim. He's a good trainer. Oh, my friend goes here, my sister goes here, whatever it is, I'm going to go there. People will, but
Hmm.
that's different to a Facebook ad. A
Right.
Facebook ad has to be no brainer. It has to be like, oh, I'm scrolling through. Oh shit, that's like the next suburb. Yeah, I'm in. That's how we get people at the start with convenience, right? So just consider that when you're running your ad, even though you will have clients that travel further than that to see you, you don't run it in a Facebook ad. The Facebook ad is just the only way we can really get them is let's just get the people that are closest to the area here, and then the others will come with referrals and friends and that sort of thing there.
Right.
Yeah, that's the best advice I can give there for targeting. Does all that make sense to you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love the fact that you said don't do the interest, because that can be so tricky. And that's the part that really got jacked up with Apple, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Facebook can't target them as accurately now because of the Apple interface and privacy policy. Okay, exactly. So we've gone over photo, headline, description, the audience. What about, and also kind of the radius, kind of that geo fence around it? I usually put like a 3-mile geo fence around mine, which is about 5 kilometers. And then what about ad spend?
Yep, cool. So, okay, so there's a couple of different ways to look at this. The start point for everyone is just the one client, right? It's just like, okay, cool. One client is $500, and let's say I like to also use a 2-week period. Okay. So let's just say when you're running that ad, when you put the start, let's go a little bit deeper as well. Start the ad 7 a.m. on a Monday. Okay. The reason being, that's when most people are going to start to be online, and it just gives your ad as much juice as possible at the start, which is going to help with the algorithm. If you start it running at 11 p.m. and no one's looking at it, Facebook's going to be like, this must be a bad ad. Let's not show it to anyone, right? So 7 a.m. on a Monday. To start with, I like a 2-week period, right? So let's say you start at 7 a.m. over there in the States, it's Monday the 11th, right? Let's say you ran your ad today, Jim, to start 7 a.m. today. The start date on that challenge would be in 2 weeks' time. It would be on, the 28th, right? Yeah. And you would use that as your start point. Let me put $500 on, right? Cool. I got, 100 leads and 10 of them signed up. I got, X amount of my money back. From there, your stats, and you can scale up if you want. You can be like, okay, well, hold on. If I put $500 in and I made $5,000 back, that's a 10 times return. If I put 5,000 in, am I going to make 50,000 back? Right? Maybe, maybe not. It's sort of like usually not in a local area, right? Because there's not that many people in the local area, right? But it's a good start point to use that one client. What I'd recommend from there is doubling it. Be like, okay, I put 500 in and I made 5,000. If I put, 1,000 in, am I going to make 10,000? Okay, and see what happens there, and then double again. What's usually going to happen in a local area is you're going to saturate your market, right? It is what it is. There's only so many people there. And also the way Facebook works is they're going to show it to you, the hottest people first. So the first time you run that ad, they know with their data, these people are going to opt in. Let's show it to these people here. Each time you run it, it's probably going to be a little bit worse, right?
Okay.
To combat that, what I recommend doing is only running it every 3 months. All right.
Okay.
So let's just say you run it now. You say, right, I'm gonna put 500. Let's say January the 1st. Make it easy, right? Look, first quarter, I'm gonna put $500 in. That's what I'm gonna do there. Cool. Here are my results. 3 months later, let me go and do it again. But now let me put 1,000 on. Okay, great. I got these results here. Next one. Okay, great. Let me do it. Now let me put 2,000 on. What's going to happen is you're going to get to the point where you don't get the same returns. You're going to be like, oh man, it's like I've already hit everyone in the area, or, I'm just as good putting $1,000 on as I am $2,000. I get the same amount of leads, because there's only this amount of people that are going to do it. So you stick there. In terms of budgeting, I'd start with just what one client is worth, right? Use that as your tester. If you get great results, cool. Double it the next time. If you get great results, cool. Until you find that sweet spot that you just know. And that sweet spot's going to be a bit different for everyone, depending on where you are.
Yeah, that's all great. So do you advocate running male and female ads and testing those?
So I'm more an advocate of just the female, to be honest.
Gotcha.
But you can, I just find the female wins every time. But you can do that. And what you would do there is you can just sort of split test, right? at the ad set level, you've got one targeting women, and that photo probably has mainly women on there, right? If you're targeting men, hey, you probably want mainly women as well, right? That'll get the men in as well. Nah, joking. So, obviously if you're targeting just men and it's just all women in there, working out, okay, so probably going to get a mixed photo or whatever it may be. So I'm just on the camp of just target women. It's usually better, but you can do that as well. You can run two. But every time I've run that, the female one just outperforms it. So I just turn the male one off.
Yeah, almost every time. And I find that you get more men through referrals. Once they sign up, if you can hit them up for referrals, then they usually bring their significant other in.
Yeah.
And then you can capture the men that way. Okay. See. So what do you run the other 3 months? Just content?
Yeah. So okay, that's a good point there as well. So part of this strategy is just building a warm audience, right? So it's just about, because keep in mind, though, we say we run that ad and we get that 100 people come in, right? The biggest advantage of those 90 people that don't sign up is we can market to them for free, right? You don't necessarily always need to be running ads. Part of the biggest benefit, because if we get in that mindset of, I'm always going to have to run ads, that's fine. You can, as long as you're getting the ROI, right? Mm-hmm. But the biggest advantage of this here is you're just building your database every single time, So when you're not running those, actually, I'll give one more tip as well. But ideally, when you're not running those ads, right, you're marketing to your warm people. You're doing your email marketing. You're posting in your Facebook group. You're doing your text message stuff, whatever it may be. That's where I use my organic. The Facebook stuff is to get the cold audience in. Then I spend the next 3 months making them warm, and that's why I target them. I just post, not even ads, right? It's just emails and content there. The other strategy that works quite well with that 3 month formula is at the 6 month, you do at the 6 week, the halfway point, you do an open week, right? So let's say your ad at the start is your challenge ad, right? Okay. 6 weeks in, you run an open week ad, which is essentially exactly the same. The targeting's the same, the photo's the same, the headline's similar, the copy's similar, but instead of it being the 12-week challenge, it's the open week, university city locals, open week at this studio or open week at this boot camp from this week here to this week here, okay? And you just click below to learn more, right? Or click below to download your free pass or your priority pass, whatever it may be, right? Can do that at the halfway point there. You'll get about the same amount of leads, but the leads aren't as hot, right? Because half of them just want the freebie, But
kicking the tires is what I call them.
Yeah, exactly. But it does. But he's saying that you should get an ROI, right? You'll get the same amount of leads. It might not be a 10% close rate, but you will get an ROI on that. And also, it can get a different person, because there's the type of person that just will never opt in for a 12-week challenge. They won't. It's just not what gets them, Mm-hmm. But they'll go for a priority pass, right? So it's another strategy that can be used to get leads in the door. And also something, and what I like to do as well is run that open week in conjunction with a bring a friend week. So for the current members, hey, it's bring a friend week. For external people, it's open week. And I just, and I use 3 things there, right? So you've got the bring a friend week for your current members, your leads. So those 100 people that didn't sign, or those 90 people that didn't sign up at the start, send them out an email. Hey guys, just letting you know, we've got an open week coming up here. Come and try the facility out for free for a week and run the Facebook ad as well. So that way it's kind of like you can leverage a few different things. You might bring a different trainer on or run an excursion or do some sort of fun stuff, but you've got all these avenues coming in. So it just makes everything worth it.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. I like that. I like it running. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. I was going to say, the important thing is just know that the bring a friend people or the open week people won't be as hot as the people opting in for the challenge. It is what it is.
Yeah. Or even the bring a friend week.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 100%.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. All right. Did we miss anything?
No, I think that's pretty solid. I guess the only thing to finish up there is the ad is just the one piece in the marketing ecosystem, right? Mm-hmm. It's just like you can just run the ad and it'll be great. but it's just one piece. It's kind of like, great, I've got these leads now, obviously, and I'm assuming the retention is good. I'm assuming
Mhm.
once you get a client, you know how to keep them, right? If you don't, make sure to master that as well. But the cold lead is just the first part of it. It's just like, right, I've got a cold lead, and there's two sort of pathways we go there. Firstly, you need to be good at sales to close that lead, because they're not just going to sign up. It's not it's not a referral. That's what's important to know. A lot of trainers will be like, yeah, I'm good at sales. Anyone that comes in, I close them. But there's a difference between a referral, someone that said, hey, go and train with Jim. It's awesome. I train there. And there's a difference between a walk-in. There's a difference between someone that's walking past. I've seen this place. I go on my way to work. I love it. How do I sign up? The Facebook leads aren't as warm as those, right?
Yes.
So you need to be good at sales. And the better you are at sales, the higher that percentage goes. From 10 is sort of like average. As long as you're not, as long as you don't completely suck at sales, you should close about 10%. If you completely suck, you're not going to close 10. Get better at sales, get to at least 10. If you're really good at sales, you can get to about 20% close rate. Right.
Yeah.
So there's that side of it there. And the important thing there is responsibility as well. It's just like, okay, cool. It's my responsibility to make these sales. And then the other side to that is the nurture. Okay, great. I called this person. They didn't sign up. Doesn't mean they're never going to sign up. What's my plan from there? Is it a Facebook group? Is it a regular email? Is it a text message? Is it letting them know about Open Week? Whatever it may be.
Yeah, I like that. And I like the part where you said it, the Facebook ad is just part of the process, right? It's like over here, it's America, so we eat burgers, right? Burgers and fries. So if you're making a burger, just pattying up the beef is just one part of the process.
Yeah.
You still got to season it. You got to grill it the way you want. And then you got to prepare the bun and all the condiments and all the sides. So there's a lot of little steps before you get that burger sitting in front of you on the plate looking really good. And so it's the same thing with Facebook ads and your marketing, right? It's just the lead. You still have to contact them, follow up with them, set an appointment, close them, or retarget them. I mean, so there's a whole process, and that's not counting your customer service, your retention, your accounting, all those other things. So it's just one cog in the system, but it's one of the most important ones because clients are the lifeblood of your business, right?
It all starts there. It's kind of like you can be the best salesperson in the world, but if you don't have any leads coming in, who are you going to close? You can be the best trainer in the world, but if you don't have any new clients coming in, who are you going to train? It's like the start point there. And that's what I'd recommend. Make sure you've got some sort of flow of new leads coming in, and then worry about the next step. It's like, okay, now I got them coming in. Now I got to get better at sales.
Yeah, I love it. Okay. All right, Jonos, this has been great. So where can people get in touch with you, find more information, reach out to you, all that good stuff?
Yes. So best thing is probably our Facebook group. That's our hub, Fitness Education Online Community. But just any social media, whatever social media you're on, type in Fitness Education Online. I'm not creative enough to come up with a clever name. So I've just gone with simple, no matter what platform, type in Fitness Education Online, podcast, YouTube, Instagram, whatever. But I'm a Facebook group guy. That's our best option. And then obviously our website. If you're interested in CEC or CEU courses, if you're in the North America, fitnesseducationonline.com. If you're in Australia, fitnesseducationonline.com.au.
Got it. Okay. And all those links will be in the show notes. Just click on Trainer Jim and then click on this episode of the podcast, and all the links to contact Jono will be right there. Jono, this has been great, man. This has been awesome. I would love to have you back on to talk about some of the other systems and to talk about your boot camp and how to create a six-figure boot camp, because I think as people are craving community, they're craving that connection, they're craving in-person services, and fitness fits into that category. So I think as we progress through COVID, I think the boot camps are going to see a resurgence. So I would love to have you back on to talk about that and just other stuff too. You're probably like me, you're a fitness business geek and you just love geeking out on this stuff like me. So, but I appreciate it, man.
No, thank you.
All right, man. Well, have a good rest of your day, and I'll talk to you soon.
Awesome. Thank you,
All right.
Jim.
Thanks.